Another dub.
Another dub. Jimmy, John Zannis,
What's up, John?
Garden Report. We've got the rest of the guys down at the Garden right now. Trying to. I think it's going to be a quick
One,
one, a
two,
quick post game tonight, at least with those guys gathering because
four
we got a
straight
back to.
wins.
Yep, got a back to back heading to Brooklyn tomorrow. Celtics are dodging bullets left and right here on these trips, which is good for the win column, bad for the entertainment factor because we were deprived a chance to see Zion tonight, to see Ingram tonight. I know Zion's a rare thing where you just don't get that. It's that's a bummer.
Honestly,
And
like
then
he's one of those guys where I haven't seen him live, but I know he's one of those players where you just have to see him live. I've only felt that way about like four or five guys since covering the NBA. I feel like he's probably going to be one of them if he isn't one of them yet. And there's only a handful like Embiid, Curry, LeBron, Luca's probably in that. Yeah, I gotta silence my phone. I know. Luca's probably in that category. And I think Zion, if he can stay healthy, he has the ability to be one of those players. But they didn't see him
yeah,
tonight. But maybe next year.
yeah. Anyway, it's a pink hat night. They won, so we're gonna talk about the
I
win.
like that.
Plenty of good things to talk about tonight. It was a non-Rob, look. They're down two stars, and of course, the Pelicans are down their two best players. Celtics are down two starters. Wasn't easy, but they got it done, and that's it. Like I said, got
Yeah,
the
well,
dub.
McCollum went off. McCollum was the guy for Pelican. Every player seems to come alive against the Celtics team tonight was McCollum, and
Yeah,
he's been doing it for a few years. He signed a big deal, but he doesn't get the hype that some of these other stars get. But he's a super talented player, but they didn't have enough in the
yeah,
tank. Simple as that.
yep, yeah. Nothing really remarkable happened tonight, so we'll just kind of talk about things in general. I do want to mention the starters. Um, uh, yeah, I'm sorry. I want to mention the starters. The sponsors,
The starting sponsors.
the starting sponsors. We do want to. A new sponsor deserves a little love early, so we will tell you. I'm
Sure.
not going to spend all night long. We'll tell you a little more about the sponsors, but we do want to welcome HelloFresh. It's a natural fit. Fresh garden, all of that stuff. We want to
Yep.
welcome HelloFresh in as a sponsor in the Garden Report here. HelloFresh.com/garden21, code garden21. You get 21 free meals and free shipping. We'll give you more details about this terrific offer. And of course, as always, anything that you purchase here, you do get yourself a Garden Report phenomenal t-shirt. I also want to mention, as we're going to be heading into March Madness in a little bit, we will be doing a bracket and we will be fielding suggestions for Garden Report related terms, moments, different things that we can talk about. What I will say is that if it wins the pool, it's gone. So phenomenal is out, cannot return. Okay?
Wait, what did I just miss? We're doing another bracket.
We will be in March. We're going to do another bracket.
Wait, phenomenal can't try to defend its title.
Phenomenal cannot defend its title. It's
Wow.
out. It's
It'll be the
out.
fine. It'll have to be named the phenomenal bracket then,
Yeah.
in honor of it.
Yeah. Where do you want to start tonight? You want to start on the bench? You want to start with Brogdon?
Yeah, I thought Brogdon had one of those games where you listen. This is why they got this guy so that he could come in, so that he could come in and give him that extra boost when they need it. And tonight I thought he was that guy. He's my Brownie Award.
He gets the Brownie Award tonight, I think, for sure. What was really interesting, actually, about it was without Smart in there. Here, what I am interested to see, and let's put the Rob stuff to bed. Rob was out with it's so funny. They're making shit up now with Rob. Before he was
Yeah.
questionable with injury management, and now he was
Injury
questionable
rehab.
with injury rehabilitation. So they're literally just.
Do you think the intern
they,
just typed the wrong thing, or does anybody know what's going on with him? Doesn't
they're just
matter. It
making
doesn't really matter.
they're making stuff up. They're fake they're fake designations to him off days. You give Rob
You knew he was
tonight
gonna get
off.
one of these two off.
You give Rob tonight off, and Al tomorrow off, and that's that. Um, and and yeah, and so no Rob tonight. So you had
No,
Al,
Rob. You had Luke. A lot of Luke.
you
Luke
had
side,
Al,
he's
you
gonna
had
block.
Grant, you
Shot.
had Derek White starting. What was interesting was the rotations I thought were weird. Not weird, but White played 22 minutes in the first half, which was crazy.
22
And then he
to
played
8
22
for
to
Brogdon, you
8.
said, right?
Yeah, and then Brogdon beat him. It was 18 to 8 in the second half, and he was out there with kind of the closers there. I'm not sure what happened. It wasn't an injury. It wasn't foul trouble. Joe just flipped it, which was odd. But Brogdon got really hot there. Like it was still an arm's length game, which was annoying because
But
they were like,
because the Pelicans kept hitting shots left and I mean they were shooting at an unbelievable percentage, and
yeah,
Celtic, even if you're a Pelicans player or fan, you must be super frustrated because if you were hitting your shots, but it was one of those games where the Celtics were just that much better, and then all of a sudden you look up and they're up 15 in the third quarter, and the Pelicans really weren't playing that poorly. The Celtics went on I think like a 10-0. And Pelicans were the team that came out of the second half and got it close. They got it to 1, and then that's when the Celtics went on their big run there.
yeah.
So
I am checking. I'm seeing people in the stream saying things like, Jaylen, yeah, he tweaked his groin at the end.
oh, okay.
Did we see any tweakage there?
I wasn't specifically looking in that area at the time of the tweak.
Yeah.
I'm not sure what happened. Hopefully it's nothing serious. So we got a super chat. I don't know what it means, but we got a super chat.
What does it mean?
I don't know.
It was on with
Just
maybe
named a
he said it
player.
with Abby. Yeah, he told Abby he tweaked his groin in the win. I'm going to get it looked at, going to get my treatment, going through the routine, see what it looks like tomorrow. Self-diagnosing an injury, huh? That's a little annoying.
Well, maybe he's okay. Well, I don't know. Back to back tomorrow. I got to see how it feels tomorrow. We'll find out.
Super chat, Jaylen Brown. There it is, Jaylen Brown injury. We're not really sure what's going on
it's
with
tough.
that.
I don't know.
That is tough. That is
But
tough.
they've got guys that can sort of step up and if
They're saying
if they can't.
Abby said when he said that, she goes, "Oh, don't tell me that."
Oh man. Well, I mean, there's a couple guys tonight. I thought Brogdon, somebody could slide in. You'll have Rob. Rob will be back tomorrow. So.
They're on to us, Jimmy. That's
Are they?
fine.
Okay. They're
Yeah, they're on to us. That's fine. We're
Yes,
just messing
Jaylen
around.
Brown had this game of his season. Everybody, we understand. We know that. The reason I came out like this is because I was going to battle in the YouTube comments after our last show, and with a couple of people who, by the way, I love everybody who watches the show, and I love that we have differing opinions and
Yeah.
love the support, and I love going back and forth with people in the comments. So it's all fun for me.
And
But
I
we just
love
wanted to rib a few people, but obviously Jaylen Brown is the player of this game. He paced them in the first half, 18 and 10, first 40-point game of the year, I believe, and he was bullying guys. I mean, he was really
Tim,
just.
I did
taking
not
it to
ask
guys.
Tim to put 0 assist on that. I think he did it for me. I did not ask for it.
Stats are stats. Hey, when you shoot 15 of 21, why pass the? You don't have to
Why
pass the ball. You don't have to
Right.
pass the ball. So
Yeah.
this is the type of game, and this honestly, we have talked about Jaylen Brown many times on the show. This is what Jaylen Brown does. He just scores in all multitude of ways. 3-pointers, driving to the hoop, bullying guys below, the mid-range game. This is the best thing. This is his bread and butter, is scoring. And sometimes you just need a guy on your team that's just a guy who gets buckets. Now, there are going to be games where he goes 0 for 8 from 3, and we might mention it. Oh, whoops. I'm sorry that we mention it if a guy goes
Wait
0
a
for 3.
second. Wait, are we? So we can talk about him when he does well and say he did well, right? That's allowed.
We can. So can we all
But you
clip
cannot
this?
say it if he did bad, right?
Can we clip this footage so people can't say that we don't talk about him when he plays well? Because we do.
Okay. Jimmy,
And-
stop being. You've got an agenda saying Jaylen played
Oh, I
well.
love that. Everyone's got an agenda now, right? We go on the show after every damn game trying to find things to talk about, and apparently we have an agenda. So, and the agenda
Yeah.
tonight is talking about the guys who helped them win the game. And tonight it was
Jaylen Brown saved their butt because Tatum didn't have a good game and Brown did.
Tatum didn't have a good game, and he had a bad, what do you want to call it? What am I looking for, John? His he
Bad
wasn't.
juju.
Yeah, Juju. I don't know. What am I
Yeah,
trying to say?
he had that thing where things weren't working and then he was kind of sulking and didn't get down the court a
Sulking,
couple
yeah,
times.
that kind of thing. But he he kind of came
That
around a little bit.
happens. Then he came around in the second half and he got serious and they put the game away and it was fine. Again, this is one of those, like, I love these games because these are the games where you can play with your food a little, and then when you want to get serious, you get serious and then just put the game away. Like, they didn't do that in San Antonio, you know? Like, you've seen a couple times where it's like, guys, just a few minutes of focus and good effort here, you know, and you'll be, I mean, everyone gets to go home early tonight, you know, and it didn't, you know, they didn't put it away until whatever, they started to separate a little bit in the third quarter there, but Brown was cooking, Brogdon, and that unit there really stretched things out for them, in the third, and I like that, man. I mean, you know, we always talk about like the third option, that's the guy, like, that's your guy. If you're looking for that guy to get it going, so this is what you need, right? If you don't want to be a team, you know, you talk about a situation like Luka, right? Like, and we play, you know, the Celtics play Dallas, and you see Luka kind of have a crap game and clearly give up on the game, you know, and kind of fake his way through it and whatever the hell was going on there. And there's nobody there that can pick it up. Celtics, when you have Tatum on an off night or Brown on an off night, the other one almost always comes through. It's rare when they both are cold. But when you need somebody else to pick something up, Brogdon's really that guy, you know? And he's the guy who gets offense on his own, and that's what he did tonight. I mean, every time he flashed open, you know, he was good from, you know, he's good from deep. He was good going to the hole. He's the guy who can score. He's the guy who, if one of those guys, you know, forbid, you know, that went down with an injury, Brogdon's going to be averaging
Body
20
language.
something. That's what you're looking for?
That was the word, body language. Thank you, Mark.
Brogdon's going to be averaging 20 something points a game in their absence because he's the guy out there who can do it. But this was like a super efficient one. And again, only played 8 minutes in the first half, which was weird. And then, you know, played a lot more in the second half, and I think that was a difference maker.
Totally. I mean, and he's the type of guy that's, you know, you're not gonna see him piss and moan about playing time. You know, you can tell that he's got a good head on his shoulders. He wants what's best for the team. He accepts his role. He's not going to be the type of guy that's going to question, you know, what the coaching staff is deciding. And he seems to be a player that a lot of the teammates sort of look up to, trust. And with Marcus Smart tonight, I mean, he's filling in admirably in some of this, you know, as is Derek White, obviously. But, you know, Malcolm Brogdon is the guy that going into the season, people were saying, oh, you know, it should be Brogdon over Smart or Brogdon over White. But, you know, you never heard that type of thing from Malcolm Brogdon. He accepts his role. I think he loves playing here in Boston. And I think Jesus loves us, and Jesus loves Malcolm Brogdon too, I guess, tonight. So thank you, Bleed Green. That was nice of you to say.
Thanks, buddy. Thank you very much. And thank you, Jesus.
We're going to have to donate that to the church.
Yeah. Yeah, it is crazy. You know, Tatum's, and people are trolling me a little bit here. I mean, Tatum's not great game, and by bad game, I mean, he was shooting 5 for 15 at one point in this game, finished 10 for 22 with 31 points. Actually, this was almost like, you know, when Jaylen has those shit nights and then all of a sudden just catches fire that's kind of what Tatum, but you wouldn't say padded it here. He's the guy who put it to bed there late. With his scoring, so not gonna say padded, but you're right. Tatum's line.
Yeah, Tatum. He came alive late for sure.
Came alive. He started tonight 5 of 15, and he was just kind of all over the place and just kind of firing away. Nothing was connecting, and you know, he finished.
And he got frustrated.
He finished strong there. He finished 5 of his. Yeah.
He sat, I think, right after that.
And then that last stint where he came up off the bench there in the fourth was in the fourth quarter. There was great.
But you know what? That's the beauty of having two, you know, superstars on your team is that when one, like, that's what the problem with, like, the Mavericks. Like, this is a game the Mavericks lose easily if goes 5 of 15 through the first 3 quarters. You know, they don't have a Jaylen Brown on the team.
Yeah. That's the great thing.
That's the beauty, and that's why this team is, you know, considered a favorite, because they have two bona fide, you know, superstars, stars, whatever you want to call them. They're both going to be all-stars. You know, obviously, you know, there's a case for both of them to make you know, any of the All-NBA teams. So, you know, this was a great example of that. You know, it wasn't a situation where it wasn't a situation where one guy was preventing the other guy from, you know, doing his thing. It was one guy was just kind of saying, you know what, I'll take the load tonight. I'll put it on my back, and when you get your shot going or when you start feeling it again, then we'll really pull away. And that's what happened. They pulled away in that fourth quarter. Both guys started to hit their shots, and again, on a night where the Pelicans are a good, young, fun team. They didn't have two of their best players tonight, so the win is the win. But regardless, I thought Brown obviously played really well, regardless of whether or not Zion's out there or not. I mean, I think Brown would have had a little bit more difficulty probably bullying a guy like Zion once he gets down into the paint or into the block. But he was able to instill his will, and this was a game that Celtics took care of business. This is a game where they obviously had to win this game. It was a little too close for comfort in that third quarter, but they pulled away. Ultimately, the score dictates, I think, the difference in talent between the two in the end because of the fact that the Pelicans were shorthanded. Celtics were shorthanded too, though. I mean, this is a game where they were out without two of their, you would assume, starters once the playoffs roll around in Smart and Rob, and they were still able to easily handle these guys. So health is going to be the name of the game. That's going to be the difference.
Yeah. So
somebody says my Wi-Fi sucks. Am I like all over the place right now?
you look fine to me right now. I haven't seen any glitches, but maybe the people at home, their Wi-Fi sucks. You ever think of that?
That could be true too.
But we might just be like Tatum and Brown here. Really, only one of us can be good. And tonight I'm JB. I'm sorry, buddy. Sorry, buddy.
Yeah.
Anybody missing two key players, you're going to have a difficult time going into your bench. A couple things worth noting, and these are kind of like deep cuts and not, not the headline of the game, but kind of into end of the column bullet point territory. Hauser's kind of starting to trend into completely unplayable, which is really not great.
Yeah.
Because you have no
not hitting your shots.
right now your rotation. I mean, listen to this. I mean, Hauser comes in. Tatum goes out at the 5-minute mark. Okay, that's the regular rotation. Tatum gets the first sub, comes back and closes the first. Guy coming in for him tonight was Hauser. Hauser comes in, plays a few minutes. I think 5 total. All that happened was basically everybody just looked for him and then tried to drive on him or score on him, and it happened a bunch of times. And then he never played again. On a game where you're missing two starters and you're already thin as hell. And Hauser came in and they were like, "Yeah, we'll see you later." 5 minutes and then never again. Oh, he came in late, garbage. But I mean, that was it. Missed a couple
I feel
threes.
like we're seeing that a little bit too often now.
That's it. He's done. He's cooked. Pritchard comes in, friggin' 1 of 6 from 3. Those guys aren't playable right now.
A little erratic. Pritchard was a little.
Thank God Cornette's
turnovers.
competitive out there. He had a couple of blocks, which were great. He did get stuffed on that reverse,
He
which
did get
wasn't
blown by once too, and
He
then
get blown
got
by, but
taunted at, which I thought was the weakest taunt call that I've seen.
I'm fine living with when you're missing Al and you can get 17 decent minutes out of Cornette. I'm fine with that. When they're both playing, if you can get 10 minutes out of Cornette, I think I'm fine with that. But I don't think you can get anything out of Hauser anymore, and that's definitely a bit of a concern. When people are already kind of freaking on trade deadline scenarios. Yeah, and I agree. Whoever said that here, Hauser hustles. He tries, and actually I've defended him a lot this year because I think even though he's obviously not fleet of foot and has a lot of lateral quickness, he's been really competitive on defense. He got turnstiled a couple times tonight, and it just is what it is. He's good enough on good enough on defense to be out there if he's hitting 5 of 6 3-pointers, as he was earlier in the year.
Right.
If he's not knocking down threes, he has no place on the court. So that's a little bit of a problem.
That's literally it. I mean, you put him out there to score. You don't put him out there to play defense. So
yeah, you hope to survive, but you need the good stuff.
Right. Yeah, of course. You just need him to not hurt you. You need him to not be targeted and them not to be switching onto him and then driving by him and whatnot. So that's something that Missoula is going to have to figure out. That's part of coaching. Obviously, opposing teams are looking at it in the film room and figuring out ways to expose it. The Celtics have to find out ways to if he is going to be out there, they're going to have to, whether it's help whether it's collapsing in that, in certain situations, but whatever it is, if that shot's not falling, and listen, the guy didn't just forget to shoot. He's a shooter. They go through streaks. The issue is going to be, is he going to be able to play long enough to sort of come out of that sort of slump? That's kind of what I feel like sometimes the issue with Pritchard is that great outside shooter, but if he's not getting minutes, it's hard to get into any sort of a rhythm. He's still shooting 40%.
Guys, we know, but if you were shooting 50 and now you're shooting 40, let's do the math. You've been shooting 30 for as long as you were shooting 50. That's bad. Okay? It's just, that's how it evens out. It's bad. It's really bad.
You can't keep waiting while he shoots 30% until he gets down to 33.
That's the whole thing. The percentages coming down to where the actual levels will take the year. Will take a while because they shot so friggin' lights out there. But White's 25%. Since he went 45%. Those guys are definitely struggling. But Hauser is just. You're right, Jimmy. That's all he does. He wakes up in the morning and he hits threes. Him not being him. It's actually weird watching him. You can tell he knows his entire existence is predicated on whether or not he knocks down a three or two.
Well, that's the thing. You don't want to.
So the second it touches his hand, his feet aren't even set, and he just launches it. So I don't think he's shooting a lot of stuff in rhythm. I think he's really sped up right now, and that's one of the reasons why. But I think he is in his head because even when he has open looks, he's not hit. Before, I was shocked if he missed an open look. Shocked, and he's just.
Well, because he was hitting them at an unbelievable clip. I mean, you don't want a situation in Miami with Duncan Robinson, right, where they gave him all. The Celtics luckily didn't.
Oh, good one. This guy's got singers.
Sebastian.
Singers.
But yet he watches.
Singers.
Ooh.
Got me.
Rude.
Got me.
At least you're not paying him what the Heat are paying Duncan Robinson. Though.
Got me. Yeah, that's exactly it. It's if he's going to be your Duncan Robinson, at least let him be cheap.
Right. So, what you don't want is for him to know that his one job is to score, and when he hits it, is he's starting to put a little bit too much pressure on himself to hit it. So now he's overthinking, and it kind of snowballs. So, I don't know. I mean, I don't think I want to talk about this guy anymore. I don't really think he was much of the story tonight. I'm kind of over it.
I'm over it.
Kind of over that conversation, to be completely honest.
Everybody. You know what? I'm going to tell you this. You guys came in angry. You guys came in pre-angry for what you thought we weren't going to say about Jaylen Brown. That's what happened tonight. Okay.
So now they're trying to find other things to be angry about because they're just.
You
angry.
came in angry. Okay, is what you did. You guys came in angry. And I don't appreciate it, but that's fine. It's a community, guys.
The Jaylen Brown that you guys saw tonight, that's the Jaylen Brown that we expect. And when we don't see it, we talk about it.
It's community, guys. We're a community here.
We talk about it. No.
What happened to Celtics family, huh? Let's tell you a little bit. Josue is on his way, so we're going to get a report from the Garden, from Josue and from Bobby. We are going to tell you briefly about one of our newest sponsors, as we said, HelloFresh. And this one is fun, and this one is good, and this one is a really good deal. So if you guys haven't had a chance to check it out, please do. It is, you know by now what it is. It's a meal kit, healthy, restaurant quality meals that are pre-portioned, sent right to your door. You can customize your meal selection and get whatever you want. Family style, meat, fish, veggies, healthy style. Jimmy opted for healthy. He got himself some cauliflower. He got himself a nice little chickpea power bowl. Bobby,
with some kale.
Nothing but haddock and bass. Don't get me started on kale. There's a kale conspiracy out there for those of you who don't know it.
Huge. Do you want to do this?
You are all brainwashed by the kale lobby.
Anybody eating kale, we can get them to do anything. If you're sitting at home and you're eating a kale salad or you just drank a kale smoothie, it's not going to stop there. Let us know. We'll get you to buy anything. We'll get you to do anything.
We have to put you in a room and like.
I have a com.com subscription to sell you. If
we got to deprogram you. But that being said, you don't have to get kale. You can get all sorts of delicious things. Bobby just got like 7 whole fish delivered to his front door. So you can customize. You can do whatever you want there. It's really a terrific deal. When you do the math on the discount, when you get the 21 free meals and the free shipping using the code Garden21 at HelloFresh.com/Garden21, when you do that, it's amazing how little you're paying actually for that kind of first wave of meals there. And for those people who just don't want to run out to the grocery store and are too busy in life to do all the shopping and to get every ingredient. I don't know about you, Jimmy. I run into this all the time because I cook a lot. I'm trying to make something and I'm like ready to go and I've got it all laid out and I'm about to start
and you're missing it.
And I'm missing the one friggin' ingredient.
And you're the type of guy that I feel like that would totally ruin it for you.
It breaks my brain and I have to leave the house and go get it and I got an angry family waiting for dinner. But I won't live without it. So again, it's all there. It's measured out. It's ready to go. You just have to kind of follow really simple instructions, put together a really fantastic meal in 20 minutes. Once again, HelloFresh.com/Garden21. Use the code Garden21 for 21 free meals and get yourself a phenomenal t-shirt in the process. In our show description, there's a form you can fill out. Put in your information there, your receipt, and you have got it, my friends. So definitely check that out. Once again, like I said, we are waiting for backup here for the guys from the Garden to jump on. Both those clowns are headed to Brooklyn. They never miss a shot to cover a Nets game. They love that.
One of the worst arenas, I think, in the NBA is Brooklyn's arena. It's just kind of, I don't know. I wasn't a big fan.
It's weird. It's weird.
It is weird. That being said, it's close by. It's a good chance to cover the team on the road, and those guys always do a good job. So it'd be good to have them both there. Are they both going?
There are some people asking me what's wrong with Kale. I will save it for the back end of the show. For those of you who want to stick around for food chat in the last 5 minutes, I'll give you my Kale.
My Kale
spiel.
Yeah.
I've got takes. Jaylen Brown, I love that.
That's pretty good, actually. That's pretty good. Not tonight, though. Not tonight.
Yeah, Bobby Bed-Stuy. He does. I think that's where he stays. Well, close to the arena, but yeah.
Bobby Bed-Stuy. Bobby he'll be dressed to the nines tomorrow. I mean, he looks like you looked like walking, talking Brooklyn guy Monday night. So I'm interested to see what he's got in the bag for tomorrow.
I was just in Brooklyn. I was in Williamsburg, hanging out. Around the New Year, hanging out. Heading back there. It's fun. It's a good time. Like Brooklyn a lot, actually.
It's great. I think I could live in Brooklyn. I don't think I could live in Manhattan, but I think I could.
Not anymore. Yeah, Manhattan is just like super wealthy, and then like half the city is just a friggin' black hole of nothing. The whole midsection of it is just useless, and you can't. My God, I went, it's cool, like Greenwich and West Village and stuff like that. But it's like it's also a young man's game there. It's still an awesome place. I'm gonna bring in Sherrod Blakely because we don't get to talk to Sherrod enough, and hear what he's got to say about things.
What up, Sherrod?
What's up, guys? How you doing?
What's happening? Good now.
Very good now.
It's not a joke when I tell you that people are legitimately begging for you right now.
Oh boy.
They're like, please, can Sherrod come in and say something intelligent?
What's going on? This was
I want to hear your perspective on it because I don't think anything remarkable at all happened tonight.
Well, this is the thing that I want them to get back to being that team we saw at the beginning of the season where you can go into a game like this and show no flaw. You don't show any weaknesses that you're taking this team for granted. Like, I never felt that. They figured something out early on that Al Horford was a guy that could get going early on. They went there, and they did the smart thing. They didn't milk it until it dried up. They simply used that as a jumping-off point and forced New Orleans to just try to figure out, okay, if we're not stopping Al, what about Jaylen and Jason? They got it going, couldn't stop them, and it just went on and on. This felt like the kind of game that you should play right before you play a team that's going to be really good. This was like,
Yeah.
and I love the way that Joe, and shout out to Joe Mazzulla, who I thought did a great job early on of just staggering the minutes of his core guys, getting guys like Sam Hauser and Brogdon and all those other guys out there on the floor so that if you played Jaylen 42, 45 minutes against Brooklyn, same thing with Tatum, it's not going to be that big a deal because this was a game where I never felt those guys were being overtaxed in terms of their minutes out there on the court. This felt like a good team win for them.
Yeah, it was a solid win. Like I said, they played with their food a little bit, but honestly, most of what the Pelicans did was just CJ McCollum just hitting everything, and not a ton else, and that's probably the only reason this game was close at all.
And you can live with that because that's what
CJ's
he's always been a guy that can get buckets. So him doing that that doesn't raise any eyebrows. The great thing they did was they never allowed anyone else to get into a flow. You didn't see big fella in the middle going off with a big game, which I was concerned he would. You never saw any of their other players play a game above where they normally play. This is who they are. They did not allow New Orleans to play above their heads in this game, which is what you're supposed to do if you are a team that is going to be setting the pace for everyone else in the league to follow.
Yeah. I want to acknowledge that we see this super chat, and thank you very much. We will get back to this because we will talk some trade deadline stuff. Kuzma was a rumor that was thrown out. Kuz was thrown out not as a rumor, but as a theoretical trade, and somehow that caught traction a little bit as Boston was tied to it. But we can talk some trade stuff later.
Crowder.
We did talk Crowder before, and I think none of us wanted Crowder. Didn't want Crowder, but weren't falling all over ourselves for Crowder.
I'm not gonna. I do.
Whoa,
I absolutely.
whoa.
I'm gonna tell you. I'm gonna tell you why I want him.
I don't remember this conversation either, Sherrod. I don't know what he's talking about.
I look at the team that you are trying to knock off the mountaintop, Golden State Warriors. And the one thing that they did that I think often gets overlooked is Golden State, they just stacked talent. Sometimes that talent didn't always play major minutes. Sometimes they played like Andrew Iguodala, for example. There were a game or two he played a lot. Other games he didn't play at all.
Porter, there was a lot of the guys on that team there.
I want them to. I would want the Celtics to have that luxury to have guys that are good players who you may not play, but you have them in case of an emergency. That's why I wasn't crazy about Blake Griffin signing at first, but then the more I thought about it, it's nice to have a guy that if he were to go out there and get 20 points, which I don't think he will, but if he did it, would anybody be shocked? Not
so
really.
I don't argue
Now
that getting a lot of good players is good. I just question whether Crowder is still one. That's all.
Well, here's my question.
That's a legit question.
I
That's
like
a
the
legit
idea
question.
of Crowder, but I don't know if that idea of Crowder is the guy who I have in my head from a couple of years ago. And I definitely don't like a guy who literally just pouted his way off of a title contender because he wasn't going to start.
So I don't like that.
But you know what, though?
News for you, buddy. You're not starting
like
here.
Yeah,
but John, I gotta be honest with John. I think Crowder may have saw something that we're all seeing now with that title contending team. I think he may have saw the finish.
Still not reason to bail.
Yeah,
it's not reason to bail, but it's understandable. I don't agree with it, but I understand why you would do that. I just wish you would have been a little bit more upfront and just said this team's not going to be very good. That's why I want to leave.
He's still
that's
gonna play.
Yeah.
But you know what? The only reason I would take him is because he's tough. He'll get in your face. And I thought a team like the Warriors, to be honest, they kind of punked the Celtics. So the Celtics need guys that are going to punk them back. If some of the young guys aren't going to step up and be tough, we already know a guy like Crowder isn't scared to be. Him, Smart, they have a history of being two tough guys that play out there together. So
he'd come in with a chip on his shoulder, and he'd give you a little bit of snarl for sure.
John, if it's him or Hauser, who do you want to see out there?
Like I said, I think Hauser's unplayable at this point, but
okay, then.
Until he starts hitting shots. Speaking of unplayable.
Hey!
Bobby, Bobby, yo, he's talking to you, Bobby.
Yeah,
you're up, Bobby.
What stinks is what stinks is seconds earlier. I was gonna say, speaking of a tough guy.
Worst Zannis intro ever.
I was gonna introduce you as a tough guy first, and then we got off that, and I couldn't get you in there, so I just went off the last thing that was said. But
You trying to say I don't have a lot of things in common with Jay Crowder? All right, John. Gotcha.
You're both.
I'm loving this conversation though.
You'll both pout if you don't get. You'll both pout if you don't get enough. If you don't get enough screen time.
yeah. Josue's constantly texting me like, yo, I'm here. Let me in.
Get out of here. Far from a diva.
I know you are. There are no divas on the Garden Report. I'll tell you that. That's a
don't
fact.
allow it, right? You don't allow it.
No, you guys are.
Right.
Are you kidding me? I don't let you talk. Is what happens. So you guys go.
There might be one diva.
You were at the game. You go for it. Right. There might be one.
Man.
If you look around the room and you can't recognize the diva.
Yeah. You're the diva.
How long did it take you guys to stop giving Jaylen his flowers? Because come on, man, this is his best game of the season.
What?
Jaylen Brown.
Who?
How did he do?
Oh, because of the grind?
Wow.
Was he out there today?
He was efficient. He had blinders on. He was doing his Jaylen thing. Yes.
This was good, Jaylen. This was very good, Jaylen. This was very good, Jaylen.
Jimmy and I trolled for about 10 minutes, and everybody was on to us early. We started the show.
You must have started laughing. So one of you guys started laughing.
We started with the bench play.
Shout out to Brett, Celtics photographer. He sees Bobby and I. He does a double take. He goes, "Not today, John. Tell John we don't want it today. No slander whatsoever from Jaylen." I was like, all right.
When Brett introduced himself to me at the finals, I was like, "You watch?" And he's like, "Yeah, I watch you, mother." He was kind of like, "Yeah, I watch. I don't necessarily like it."
Oh, I'm watching you, all right.
He was friendly, but he's like, "Yeah, I like the show. I don't know if I like you."
Right. That's a tone he probably gave you, right?
Yeah.
And then I hit him in the face a couple nights ago. But anyways, with the
that's
door.
That's exactly the tone he gave me.
All right.
Oh, Sherrod,
say something about what'd you see from Jaylen tonight out there, so we can clip this.
It's just.
Yeah, Tim, Jaylen segment here, starting at 36-34. Take it to about 37-30 and call it.
2,
Yep, go.
1, go, Joe, go.
He had when I say he had blinders on, that type of Jaylen where it's like, okay, it's just me out here, I'm just gonna do my thing. He had that going, but he's reading the defense at another level. Like he's continuing to elevate in that sense. And I think again, I've been saying it, all year long in terms of him showing his maturity, which he does year after year. Whether it's having a conversation with Marcus Smart when Marcus had a bad game, on the road trip, or it was him saying like, look, I want to guard Luka Doncic on the defensive end. I mean, those are the kind of things I feel like goes a long way for the Celtics because when Jaylen's on like that, the Celtics have a team that's going to complement him in those performances, right? It isn't one of those games where you have to get out the way and keep giving him the ball. No, he's starting to do things that's going to help the team as a whole, obviously, but also not doing it in a way where he's like, okay, it's me time. You guys get the fourth quarter, like we talked about. Him and Tatum used to switch off. Like, no, it's doing it as a cohesive unit. And we talk so much about the improvement of Tatum and the kind of year he's having. And sure, he's still up there. He's still in the MVP conversations. A couple other names that are in there as well. However, we can't sleep on what Jaylen's doing right now, man. Like this type of performance, this type of bounce back that we're always asking for from Jaylen or expecting, like this is the standard I feel like he's set for himself, and he can continue to get better, as an individual. However, when it's a team win the way it was, people can say what they want against the Pelicans. Oh well, they had 2 guys out. Well, yeah, so that guys out as well. But Jaylen picked up the pieces of that, and I feel like guys rallied around him. And I mean, look, this is the kind of performance you want to see more often from Jaylen, especially when you need him to bounce back from winning a couple of nights ago.
Yeah. All right. Clip it, Tim. That's your segment. That's Jaylen right there.
If you can get through the. Oh, I didn't mean to put that up there. Damn it.
We intentionally had the guy whose mic was crackling do the Jaylen segment.
I wanted to put this up there.
So it would be unusable.
You have to decipher it.
The popcorn that Josue was popping there was good. Good.
Yeah. Josue gives new meaning to the expression "get your popcorn ready."
Right?
No, but I mean, Josue, he makes a good point about Jaylen as far as the improvement. I mean, Jaylen went from being a guy that you say he's in the All-Star conversation to now he's an All-NBA caliber player, and to do that as the second option on a team is pretty damn impressive. When you think about it. But the bottom line to me tonight was that, Jaylen did what he's supposed to do. I mean, on a night when you're supposed to be taking this opponent seriously, knowing you got a bigger and badder and tougher opponent the next night, handle your business, get out of town and get that W and keep it moving.
Keep it moving. Yeah.
I mean, sure. When Jalen's playing the way he's playing tonight, there's not a lot of guys in the league that can score in that many different ways. As if like, I don't know what he's best at on a night like tonight. Like he's draining the outside shot. He's bullying guys down. He's really just kind of out. He almost looks like he's stronger than everybody in the court. When he gets full head of steam. And his mid-range game, like there's not a lot of players like that can score. That you look at and you're like, wow, this guy can really score in any way, shape, or form that he really chooses to. Like, and it is kind of baffling sometimes. Like a night like tonight, he was in the zone, like from the beginning. 18 and 10 at half, finished with 41, kind of paced them the whole way. Tatum had an off night for 3 quarters, and it didn't matter because you had Jaylen playing like the superstar role. And then there's games where you kind of wonder if he's fully involved the way he should be, but. These are the games where you're like, this is why sometimes it's frustrating because you know how talented this guy is. You know that he can score as good as some of the best players in the NBA can. And you're muted.
Still?
No, not you. Sherrod, you're muted.
Yeah, I'm going to let Josue talk. I saw Josue trying to get in. I didn't want to. You got the popcorn off the grill? We're good? Yeah, go ahead.
Jeez, every time. Last night was perfect. 2 nights ago, rather. But yeah, look, I just think again, this is.
I can't do it. I'm sorry. It's popping, man. I don't mean to do it.
It wasn't that bad. I would have let it happen, but
I can't do it.
But the difference between Jaylen and Jason is that Jaylen is going to be impactful like this when he's being efficient in all phases. Tatum can have a below average game and still like tonight and get you 30 and 10. I mean, This was not a good Tatum game, and yet you look at his final numbers, they're impressive. Yep. Jaylen doesn't have that luxury, but the thing that I do like about Jaylen, again, is that he is finding ways to make a difference on his team. And it's not always the same way. I mean, we talk about his scoring, but he had 12 rebounds. And against, a team that had a decent amount of size in the front court. So his ability to be effective, efficient, and impactful is really going to help this team going forward.
You can tell the, and again, I hate, making such a simple connection, but the Jaylen games where he's engaged, you do see rebounding go up. You see a little bit more defensive effort, and I think that translates. The reason it's like, jokes aside with Jaylen, the reason we don't gush when he has a game like this is because I kind of expect him to have games like this because this is what this is what he does, and this is what we give him the most amount of credit for. He's just a freaking bucket machine. He hits tough shots. He hits tough shots over people. He hits tough shots he goes to the basket against really good defenders. He does things Tatum can't do. Tatum can do a million different things, and Tatum's probably all around a more complete player. But Jaylen Brown he can attack the rim better than Tatum because he's quicker and he goes harder and he can elevate. He hits ridiculous contested shots and contested twos and he just is a bucket machine. So it's not surprising at all when he has nights like this, runs like this, because you see him even in games where he doesn't go off for 41, have just stretches where he literally just doesn't miss. The ball doesn't even nick the rim. Mm-hmm. He's just splashing it from all over the place or just exploding by people and getting to the rim and finishing in creative ways and finishing with his left. So again, it's never a surprise to me watching Jaylen score a bunch of buckets. It's impressive to watch when he kind of strings it together it's fun when he strings it together for an entire game. You see sometimes in patches, then he kind of isn't involved for a quarter or two, and then he heats up again. This, he just kind of, got hot, stayed hot, and kind of needed it because, as he said, Tatum didn't really come alive until that fourth quarter there, and then when he did, it was lights out. But yeah, that's it. I mean, that's what he does. He's freaking awesome at it. When we call him out, it's for the other stuff like friggin' 6 turnover games, right. and waning effort on defense on occasions where he doesn't look totally focused. Or last game I felt like you were saying last game there are contested shots and then there are contested shots. Last game felt like there was a lot of forces. This game did not. They were tough shots, but they were the shots he wanted. Last game it felt like he was just taking shots for the sake of taking shots. because he had the ball in his hands. I think he was getting what he wanted tonight, and he was getting those looks, and it's different. It'll go down in the books as contested mid-range too, but I felt like the two nights in terms of shot quality were totally different. It wasn't just that they went in tonight.
Yeah, and I think that because he got hot early, he had a little bit of momentum and confidence going in. That's a real thing. It's like anybody. You hit a couple early, you start to feel the flow a little bit, and you feel that confidence going up, and just keeping it going for the rest of the game. Josue, can you hear us? Try speaking.
Keep going with your point. Keep going with your point.
Well, you need your mic to be
Open
on.
your mouth, Josue.
We do not talk.
Are you guys messing with me?
Are you messing
Now we
with
can
me?
hear you.
Oh. John was. Look, John's looking at me like you can't.
No. We can hear you. We just
can
don't
hear
know.
you when
We
you-
just don't
when you
know. We
talk.
just don't know whether we want to hear you. That's what
Right.
we're waiting to hear. So
You don't
let's
hear
go.
the popping?
Let's go.
Are we good?
You need-
guys
you
hear
need
the
to
popping?
You need to
We need
talk
some- we
for
need-
us to pop.
We need
for
more
you to
talking.
pop.
Yeah,
All right.
like a
well, what
like
you
a
guys
mic
saying
check.
about JP? I'll get back in here. What are you guys saying about JP?
That he's the MVP, unquestioned, and first team All NBA. No, just saying, like, I don't know. Just saying, this is what he does. It's not surprising. Like, that's the whole thing. Is like we're kind of joking that people give us crap when we don't, gush all over JB. Like, I expect this because this is what he's good at. Like, he's just a phenomenal scorer. And it doesn't matter some nights who's on him or what the defense is doing or whatever. He can just get his buckets.
Yeah, but that used to not be the case. Remember, whether it was the turnovers or whether it was the lack of consistency, being inconsistent. He went on that streak of scoring 30 plus points, and then he got a little cold, but he's bounced back, And I think again,
I agree with you, Josue.
a game like this goes a long way for him. I just think he needs that mental space, especially heading to Brooklyn the second night of a back-to-back. No Marcus in this one, no Rob. So I think he capitalized on the situation, and he was in tune with the game. I feel like again he was reading the defense the right way. He knew when to attack, and he didn't cut back. He didn't let that whether when he doesn't get the touches after a handful of possessions, he didn't let that bother him, and he just continued to find his rhythm all 4 quarters, man. Which is again best performance of the season for sure, and it's the timing is perfect, for this team right now.
Yeah, and I mentioned it earlier, Josue, but to have two guys that can on any given night drop 40 or can carry the burden, if you will, of being the guy. There's so many teams in the NBA that don't have that, and that's why the Celtics are considered a top contender in the NBA because of these two guys. It's not because of we talk about Brogdon and Marcus and all those guys, but at the end of the day, the Celtics are going to go as far as Tatum and Brown take them. To have a tandem like that is rare. There's only a handful of teams in the NBA that could say that they have a tandem that can go toe-to-toe with those two guys. And then that's when the complementary players come in, and that's sort of what sort of takes you over the top. But it starts and ends with those two guys, and it can't just be one. So, yeah, there might be nights where it's Tatum, maybe we talk about Tatum a little bit more. But that doesn't mean that we don't know that Brown is just as important to the Celtics if they want to go where they want to go, which is to win a championship. Now,
Yeah, but you can say that we're not just us, but the fan base or the media in general. They're a bit more critical with Jaylen, though. Would you say that?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Critical.
Do you think that's
critical, fair? More critical than what?
Than we are with Tatum.
Somewhat. I think most people are, no doubt about it. I think most people are. I think.
Right. And I think he knows that, but he doesn't let that get to his head.
I think he knows it. I mean, I not gonna say, but like, I think Tatum has. There's been a lot of things that he's needed to button up. I think Tatum was a target for a lot of people last year too. The body language, the missing,
Tatum
the
was
fouls,
getting
the complaining.
chastised last year.
Tatum was
until he
getting
turned
beat
it
up
on.
pretty good, and then he had a
He turned
horrible
it on the last
finals.
2
Super
months.
18
Yeah.
games and
So,
stuff. Yeah.
so
he showed in the finals too. People don't forget that.
Yeah. I think Tatum caught a lot of his too, but you're right. Maybe Jaylen feels like slightly disrespected over it, or whether it's real or not, I think it probably is, but he's definitely cognizant of it. You're right. When he has good games, you'll almost always hear in the post game some shot to people who questioned him before.
Right,
You get
exactly.
you
Right.
get that
those
a
are the kind
lot.
of questions. Those are the kind of questions he gets. And then you
Yeah.
think about the narrative compared to last year. What was it last year? Can these two really play together? Should they just trade one of them? Especially when they turn to the 500 Celtics. That's done. We obviously know that's not the case anymore. They've proven that. But now
Yeah, I
the
don't know.
narrative is the narrative now is more of a just not questioning Jaylen all the time, but sort of being a lot more critical compared to Jason. Well, at least for this season, that's been.
Well,
Now,
here's
you got,
the.
do you,
Go ahead.
I was just going to say, you got to remember how Jaylen Brown's journey to Boston began. Draft night, number 3 pick.
But
Your
that
ass
wasn't on
got booed.
Jaylen, though. Come
Your
on,
ass
bro.
got booed. And
I
I'm
got
going to tell you right now,
But it
him
wasn't
and I
about
have had
him.
a
It was
number.
about the pick. But yeah.
You're an 18, 19-year-old kid. Your dream come true, and the first thing that you hear from your so-called fan base is getting booed. Come on, you and I know damn well that is something that, as long as Jaylen is a Boston Celtic, he is going to find a way to use that, even the tiniest bit of that, as motivation, and
That
it
was at
has
the
been
Garden.
motivation.
That's at the
But
Garden too,
Yeah,
Sherrod. With
yeah.
all the
arc-
banners and everything else.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The arc of their careers has been different. Tatum came in and was a starter in day one and instantly good, and a contributor like instantly good. Jaylen took 3 years. I mean, he played in that second year, but he really didn't get going until the third. But he was also still coming off the bench because Hayward was playing. Tatum was, yep, you're the starter. He's been starting since day one, so he's been a golden child for longer. Brown's ascension has been a little bit more. It was gradual. Then he kind of got there, and then the expectations shifted, and people are like, okay, you're 1A, and then when he wouldn't perform to that standard, people would come down on him. I think there's just certain things like the turnovers which drive people crazy, sometimes the tunnel vision. There's just certain things that are just easier to pick up, whereas Tatum's bad games typically are just he just shot bad that night, where Brown's doing things that are a little bit sloppier, and it's just stuff that makes people madder than just a missed shot. So I think it's partly a style thing with him. But you're right, he's definitely got a chip on his shoulder, and he still hears it, and he throws it out there, and he bounces back off those games, for sure. I think Bobby was in talking to Jaylen if he did get his thing in. So we're going to hear from Bobby in a minute. We do have to sneak in one more here. We want to tell you about Athletic Greens. Another one of our great sponsors that is health related, which is a real benefit on the Garden Report, and we are somewhat selective in the sponsors that we choose, and we're happy to have Athletic Greens as one of them. Everyone here on the Garden Report takes Athletic Greens. Will personally tell you what it's done for them, why take it, all those reasons that you would want, to help with your immune system, rest, recovery.
Took mine this morning. I'm stacking it right now.
You did?
I'm stacking it. AG1 with a couple other things.
Really?
Yeah.
Interesting. No, I like what you're doing.
Yeah, I'm stacking it with the sun, the earth, beef organs, and a couple other odds and ends. But that's my stack right now.
Yeah. So it's good stuff. Again, for all of the people who are out there
overhaul,
who don't want to go get all of that stuff, you could just get the Athletic Greens. 75 vitamins, minerals, scoop of water, and you're done for the day. Takes care of everything that you need in terms of that you would be searching for with a bunch of different vitamins and supplements and whatever weird shit Jimmy's doing. But you could.
I'm just stacking it, man. I don't know what to tell you.
Okay, what I'm trying to tell people is that you only need Athletic Greens, Jimmy, to start your day.
Yeah, sure.
So go to athleticgreens.com/garden. You get a free 1-year supply of Athletic Greens, of vitamin D, and 5 free travel packs, which do come in handy for those of you who are hitting the road. A lot of these guys are going to Brooklyn. Josue is friggin' taking it all the way to Charlotte because that's how he rolls. And that's how he's going to do it. But again, this fits into your diet. It doesn't matter how you're starting the year. There's virtually no sugar in it. It's gluten-free, keto, friendly, paleo friendly, whatever you're on right now. Vegan.
You can basically take it. Like if you're intermittent fasting, you can pretty much still take it.
Yep.
I mean, technically it'll break a fast, but
it doesn't. Anything under 50 calories
gonna,
technically doesn't. And if you take it with a cup of water, you're going to be okay.
Yeah, it's not going to spike your glucose or anything like that.
But anyway, check this out, athleticgreens.com/garden. Free 1-year supply of vitamin D, 5 free travel packs, and a free phenomenal t-shirt, of course. Anybody who supports any of our sponsors here at the Garden Report, I don't care where you are, we will send you one of these shirts. We're going to bring in Bobby the Truth Manning.
There he is. Kind of got that Tommy Heinsohn jacket going tonight, it looks like.
I love it. Did you get to talk to Jaylen or no?
No, still hasn't gone, believe it or
Damn.
not. If you want to grab Josue, we'll probably make it. But
Yeah, Josue, if you want to go check it out, you can. But your call here.
Pop on over.
Pop on
Yeah.
over. See
I
what
did-
Jaylen's-
I saw what you did there, Jimmy.
Oh,
I did get a chance.
I was gonna say, but now you know what?
No, Josue, no, I don't
No.
mean that.
You're pun, huh? Is that what it was? A little pun. Yeah.
Am I a joke to you?
What's up, Bobby?
Have fun, Bobby. These guys are on one.
I did. I did get a chance to talk to C.J. McCollum, Trey Murphy, a couple guys on the Pelican side, because I always find it interesting what the other players around the league are thinking about Tatum, Brown, and usually it's obviously glowing. But to hear Trey talk about growing up watching these guys and watching film on his way to the league as these guys were reaching their stardom was pretty surprising. Just kind of shows how long they've been in the league, the levels they've reached. And CJ was talking about just how they're scoring from every level. We've talked about Jaylen's mid-range game, which was in full effect tonight. He finally got the three-point going. And, of course, the rim dominance is just insane between these two. So CJ said they're unstoppable. There's nothing you can do to slow them. You just got to try to make them guard. And that's what they did tonight. You saw not the Celtics' best defensive night, even against the lower players in the Pelicans' rotation. But they still managed to score and shoot their way to victory, which they can do more often than not. Even against the Pelicans team that they've beaten now twice, top 10 defense, believe it or not, for most of this year. And they just tore through them by putting their heads down and attacking the rim again and again. Great pace, as Al Horford said post-game. But they put on a clinic tonight offensively. And I didn't love the defense, but you almost felt that they could coast through this one on that end and just outscore the Pelicans, which, you know, they've been able to do to a lot of teams this year. But a good taking care of business win, I thought.
Can I ask you a question, Bobby?
Josue's back.
Who was in on Missoula?
Our producer Ahmed. They decided to put us upstairs tonight, so we didn't make Joe.
Oh no, that's fine. There was one weird exchange with one question where he was asked something about.
Yeah, was that Gary or I don't know?
Yeah, was asked something and then he answered in a defensive-ish way. So I wasn't curious. I was curious. Something
Well, they had
about.
a thing,
Well, let's
I don't
get
remember,
it.
But there's like an ongoing joke on the road, but maybe that's what it was. But I don't wanna
Jalen's
guess
talking
it.
right now.
Well,
I'm gonna look into it.
Well, Joe, I don't know what the context was of this one, but I do know Joe was he got asked another timeout question in San Antonio and was like, "Oh, I actually made a mistake with the timeout call. I thought you guys would pick up on that."
That was the
So
joke,
it's,
yeah.
again, week after week, I think you're seeing him sort of stand up for himself in many ways. And listen, he's gotten heat from fans. He's gotten heat from the chat, certainly here. I don't know if the media's gone after him much. Not that I know of. Maybe with the timeout stuff, maybe here at times, but other than that, I feel like he's gotten more glowing praise than criticism. I mean, the media poll that just went out, the media survey, had him tied for second with Willie Green and Coach of the Year. So I don't know. He's definitely hearing things that are said about him, and he's admitted as such. So I don't know what the context of that one was, that exchange, but I'm sure we'll hear it in a minute.
So
Anyway,
like,
I couldn't.
Angry? Was it an angry?
No, I couldn't figure it out. He was asking a question
Right
about.
back.
He was asking a question about Tatum and Brown
They're going back and forth. Yeah, I'll
Play-
give you this.
playing together, and then Joe was like, "We're top 5 in offense, top 5 in defense, top 7 in assist to made basket ratio." And Gary was like, "Yeah, I was asking about." Yeah, it was weird. It was a strange answer. I wasn't sure what that was about, and if anybody was in on it. But we don't have to.
Well,
we don't have
luckily
to-
we'll have the whole back and forth up on CLNS on YouTube page because we were there to videotape the whole thing.
The Brown Tatum dynamic became a story again tonight, obviously. Al, and I don't know how Joe reacted to it on that question, but Al was like, we're glad we're past that. Like they don't even want to talk about it anymore.
What became a story and why? I'm missing something. There's a bunch of pages torn out of this book right now, and I don't understand what's going on.
Every time Brown and Tatum score 30, it's going to be a year ago, you want to break them up, and they figured it out.
But how many? How many times is that going to be asked?
That's what I'm saying. They're done.
If I'm them, I'd be pissed to get that question too. It's a pointless question. They've proven not only can they score at a high level, but they can win and score at a high level. So what's unique about that? What's different about that? Where's the news value? I don't see it.
No, I don't. It's the story.
It's almost kind of like Groundhog's Day, really, when those guys both go off for 30. It's like, haven't we seen this movie before? I'm
honestly, I'm not gonna lie. I'm actually less concerned. I'm less interested in the Brown Tatum stuff than I am Joe being defensive and moody, and I'm kind of wondering where that's coming from, because I've noticed it a bit lately, where he's gotten a little bit chippy or standoffish, or just the way that it's gone. And honestly, I don't mind it. It's just interesting. Like, fine, fire back. Who cares? Get annoyed if you're annoyed with the line of questioning. Nobody cares if a coach somebody snaps back at a reporter if they don't like the way things are going. I'm just wondering what made Joe. What's led to that? Because I've noticed it a little bit more recently, and then this one kind of threw me a little bit. That's why
it's been there. It's been there from the start, and you know what it stems from. He entered this position to immediate questions, fair questions about his experience, about his readiness.
Do here? Yeah.
And then certainly it all flowed into timeouts and strategy and threes and this and that. It's been not tough questions, but questions have circled around him from the start. Yeah. I mean, there was a healthy skepticism that followed his ascension to that position.
Yeah, and I think a part of him is feeling like, you had all these questions. I get it, but we got the best record in the damn NBA.
We got the best record in the league, yeah.
And the guy that was the anchor of my defense, I've had him for a whopping 10 games out of 42. That breaks down to like 25% of the season. So I can understand where he might be a little bit irritated. And if we're being honest and real about it, it's not like he's treading into some foreign territory here. I mean, Doc Rivers is loved by the media, and he will snap your head off with the quickness if there's a question that he doesn't like or care about. So
remember, would you ask Pop that question?
Well, that's true. Yeah. So I personally, I like if Joe's getting a little feisty. I like it.
I'm just wondering what you guys did to him.
He's just tired of that narrative. He's tired.
What did you guys do to upset Joe?
Why did you break the coach?
What's the narrative? That these guys can't play together? Who's saying that?
They can't play together, but it's like, they're polar opposites, which we know that.
But they're not.
I mean, they're not, but like personality-wise, whatever. People want to say what they want, and they don't hang out.
What was the specific exchange?
Yeah, they both
tonight?
have electric personalities.
You tell us.
In the middle of, I know, right?
That's why we sent you.
In the middle of Gary asking, like, these two guys who are opposites and that, he just cuts them off and goes, they're top 5 in offense, top 5 in defense. Like,
I'll get it. I'll cue it up and I'll play it. You guys can kind of.
I sent you the timestamps.
Yeah. We'll pull it off. It was interesting. I'm not sure what he's mad at. Maybe he knows Gary's on his ass about some stuff.
And then Gary's like, well, that's good, right? He's like, yeah. So exactly. It's like, well, clearly they can play together, and clearly they've performed at a high level. And then he goes, oh, well, that part of your question I didn't like the other part. So the back and forth, I can see why people sort of.
Well, here's the question tonight with Brown and Tatum. As great as they were tonight, and we know they're 2 of the top 5 scorers in the league this year at this point in terms of total points. That's not a question. Can they play together? Not a question. But in terms of it flowing to teammates, how do you feel like that went in this game? 4 assists for Tatum, 0 for Brown.
Look, I'm not allowed to talk about it, so you guys do it, okay?
Yeah, I mean,
I'm not allowed to talk about it. Go ahead.
Somebody talk.
Bobby, what's the question?
I asked the question.
What is it?
Sherrod's answering.
Here's the thing. Okay, this was a game where the Celtics had a lot of matchups that they were able to absolutely exploit, and the ball movement. I just thought there were a lot of hockey assists and not actual assists. You look at the way they started the game, where Al scores 11 points. A couple of those buckets came action involving Tatum. And again, was this one of his great assist games? Hell no, absolutely not. But I didn't feel as though the ball was sticking. And that's the thing that I worry about. I don't really get consumed by assist numbers as much as what is the eye test telling me? Is the ball sticking on one side of the floor or in one player's hands too often? You look at a lot of the shots that Jaylen Brown took, for example. Those were in the flow of the offense shots. I got a big guy guarding me. He can't guard me. I'm taking him off the dribble, finish at the rim. I've got a big guy, or I got a little guy on me. I'm going to bully ball him and shoot the little mid-range in the paint. That is just smart basketball. And sometimes the best basketball play doesn't necessarily mean you got to bounce past to a guy for a layup. Sometimes the best play is just literally to beat this little guy's ass down on the block, shoot over him, and get your ass back on defense. Sometimes that's the best play.
Right.
And
exactly.
amazingly,
And that fourth quarter, they just played smarter basketball. But yeah, sorry.
yes, they did.
It wasn't sexy. It wasn't great ball movement. It was just smart basketball. And sometimes that's what you need.
Like when Tatum's on the block and it's got Alvarado on him, and you got Brogdon on the top of the key, it's like
barbecue chicken.
Exactly.
Barbecue
what do you want to
chicken.
do here?
Fair
You want to pass
point.
to Brogdon? Boom, there's a three right there. You know, like just smart, just executing. This is stuff that Joe Mazzulla's been talking about. You know, getting this team to do that on a consistent level. So you can kind of see why, because the beginning of that question, he's probably thinking like, "Oh, are you trying to say like, oh, am I surprised by this?" You know, so I think that's why he sort of interjected the way he did and said,
Well, I'll play it. You guys, you guys can be the judge. Here it is.
Been obviously the MVP candidate, but when you have Jaylen, do you kind of have to have them? I mean, they get along well, but how do you deal with two guys that are almost equals and they've known each other so long, and you come into the situation where there's no issues there between the two? You know what I mean? Like,
we're top 5 in offense, top 5 in defense, top 7 in assisted field goals made percentage.
I don't think he understood the question.
yeah, okay,
Yeah.
but I'm saying like,
So they shoot, they pass, they score, they play defense. That's how I handle it. They do a good job of doing that together.
yeah, they're dynamics though.
I don't think Joe understood the question.
I think it was.
Why'd you
I do
shut it
think
off?
you
Why didn't he? Did he keep going?
I think it was unintentional. I think it was unnecessarily defensive. Like he was going to be. I think he thought the question
was
coming.
He was assuming.
I think he
He
thought
was
the question
anticipating
coming
something.
was
Yep.
right. Was basically like, so how come Jaylen had 0 assists tonight, or why don't they pass together, or why don't they play off? I don't know where he thought it was going. Yeah.
I interpret the question as him was asking that, you know, these guys are very equal. So how do you make sure that they are just kind of getting the most out of each other and just there's no friction. Like you don't have the kind of stuff that you saw with a lot of other teams where you have you don't have like a Kobe Shaq situation or you've got two really dynamic players and there's this almost internal fight. How do you keep that peace? And I don't think that was what I think Joe was thinking something along to the effect of, can they play together? Can they play effectively together? And I don't think that was the question.
Potentially was when Jaylen was good, Jason was bad, and then whatever, maybe he was headed there. I'm not entirely sure, but
I don't know where he was going.
I don't know if he really let Gary finish. Gary asked, Gary
he was
kinda
trying to
asks
get
long
there,
questions typically. So you just kind of let him finish, and then you kind of go from there. I don't know if we really let him finish, but it is what it is. I don't really think it's a big deal. I mean, whatever.
No, it's not. It was just interesting.
And the Jaylen assist stuff, I think it's a little overrated, to be honest. I mean, there's tons of Hall of Fame basketball players that assists aren't part of their game. Right. I mean, Ray Allen wasn't an assist guy. We didn't go. If we had a show going on back then, we wouldn't have gone on the show after every game and been like, Ray Allen didn't have any assists tonight. No, he didn't. But guess what? He had 4 3-pointers, and he played his position.
3 in the last 9 seconds, right?
Yeah, exactly. And he hit the game-winning shot. So who the F cares? Like that's just not part of his game. So I don't really care.
The contract, right, Jimmy, that we had with viewers was, we'll literally just, if you stop trying to see things that aren't there, like every single time Jaylen Brown makes a single pass for an assist and say, ooh, he's evolving. He's not, but it doesn't matter because that's not his game. That's not his game.
And it hasn't
we found his role.
Yeah,
shooting guards
if you guys leave it alone,
small forwards, they don't need to be big assist guys. They never
have to.
Really in the history of the game. I mean, yeah, there's the great ones that are, but that's not part of his game. And I don't really even, honestly, on a night like tonight,
it's not his thing.
When he's in the zone and he's aggressive, I don't want him passing it. What do I want to hit? The last thing John wants to see is Jaylen Brown pass up a layup and and hit a wide open Derek White in the corner.
Right,
That's the last
exactly.
thing he wants to see.
That's the
So
right
I would be
move.
going on the show after and say, "Oh, he had 0 assists."
Thank
You're
you.
damn right he had
Stop
0
hating my
assists.
guy,
He had
Derek.
41 points.
And he passed off that layup for Derek White. That's exactly what John was.
Exactly. So
Yeah,
sure, there are going to be nights. There are
exactly.
going to be nights where you don't want to
Go.
see him.
Right.
Yeah, there are nights where you don't want to see him force shots, and in that sense, sure, maybe you rack up a couple extra assists in place of a couple of forced 3-pointers. But on a night like tonight, where he's 15 of 21 or whatever the hell he was, and he's focused and aggressive, take the shot, drive to the hoop, build the guys down low.
Yeah.
Don't pass it.
And-
I don't care.
And amazingly, 0 assists is a top 5 effort on the season for Jaylen, so it's really not that bad.
Yeah, it doesn't matter if he's going to be
He
efficient.
adapted, John. Right?
Listen, it doesn't matter if he's playing defense. If he's playing defense and rebounding, that's way more important than, like I said, kicking it out instead of shooting a layup, which you shoot it. He's 78% at the rim and 56% from mid range. Take that shot instead of swinging it to friggin' the corner for a Blake Griffin three.
That's why
of course, yeah.
He talked about DeMar DeRozan as someone that he looks up to in terms of his efficiency, his mid-range game.
That's a great comp. I think we said that on the show that they're comparable
that's your
guys.
goal. I love
Well, let's talk about
When your
Let's
game
talk
is
about-
when your game offensively, when you can theoretically score from all over the court, you're gonna think about passing less because you can score from there.
He's had to do that since day one, Sherrod. You brought that up the first couple of seasons of his career. I'm glad you brought that up because that's a good point. Like, he had to adapt to, obviously, Gordon Hayward being ahead of him and how he just pretty much lost his starting job just because Gordon Hayward was back. And they were forcing him into the offense. And Jaylen did his best to adapt. He went from being the corner 3 guy to getting the ball in his hand and getting, limiting his turnovers this season. Like, he's evolved. Like, this took time, obviously.
He has. And you know what? Last thing, real quick, is that the people who were at the Garden that night where he was drafted, they were booing because the Celtics didn't trade the pick. It wasn't necessarily because they drafted Jaylen Brown. That being said, the knock on Jaylen Brown was that he couldn't shoot. He wasn't a great shooter, and he was going to have to work on his game. You got to commend him for the fact that he's now a guy that can theoretically score from all over the court. And we just talk about the fact that that's like the one thing he does well. So he took the one thing that people questioned about him, and it's now the thing that he's pretty much known for. So you got to tip your hat, for that, for sure.
And there's benefits to what he's doing in his role. It lets Tatum be the ball handler more often than not. It allows Brown to showcase what he's capable of. We've heard him say a million times that he's capable of this if he can show it. And this scoring role allows him to do that and focus on that and not have those indecisive moments where you're thinking, pass, score, which I do in the spot. Games where we saw him struggle, particularly last year when they were trying to make him a playmaker. It doesn't feel like that's as big of an emphasis this year.
Yeah.
You don't hear it as much. And the big thing is, it's going to get him all NBA. He's 5th in the league in scoring. He's going to get all NBA.
Look,
and that has major benefits because I can't see him turning down a supermax contract if he's all NBA.
Honestly, for the Celtics fans who want him to stay, obviously that's what you want to see. But look, he's got a job to do, and that's get buckets, and that's what he's doing. And that's enough. Again, it doesn't matter. Did you say he's top 5 in the NBA in scoring?
He moved in the 5th in total
As
points
of-
tonight.
Are we still doing total points as if that matters?
I think it matters more.
Hater.
No, it doesn't.
Wow. Jeez.
I think it matters because
It's
you know
points
what?
per game.
It's availability.
Yeah, but
Total
John,
points?
availability is
Yeah.
important too. When you're out there, you want to be scoring.
John's like, nope, it's trash. Not all NBA.
That's the best thing about Brown and Tatum is that they're
Where is
out
he
there
at?
every
Where
night.
is he on average?
12.
Points.
It's still very good, but
Yeah,
enough.
so he's inching up to the top 10.
Yeah.
This will be a storyline going into All-Star Weekend, right? I mean, that's
Sherrod
good.
said, F you.
I want them. I want them to get that spotlight.
It was
Hopefully
loud
the
where
Celtics-
Sherrod was, so we had to. Yeah.
John's like, so I just kicked him out. No,
No. I just had him on mute for a minute.
So this is what you want. I want them to be in the spotlight. I want the pressure to be on right now because obviously it was they're on the biggest stage that you can be in the NBA after the NBA Finals. So if the narrative is, this is the best 1-2 punch in the NBA, and these guys have turned this 180, then good. There should be a storyline going into All-Star Weekend, and I want that to be highlighted because I mean that's how they deserve that. They earned that. But does it carry over to the second half of the season? I mean, that's what we got to wait and see.
The question with Jaylen has never been like, does he need to be a passer? The question is, on this team, and the way that they played early in the year of ball movement, off ball movement, swing the ball, make the right read, and they were seemingly all making all the right reads. Of all of the people they have on the court that are well bought into that and have a basketball style well suited to it, Brown appears to be the one who does not. And that's why sometimes I think it looks like an ill fit where it's like, what is he doing? And that's where I think it gets to people sometimes is like,
Well, the problem, John,
you
is
have
that
possessions where it's bing, bang, boom, and a bunch of stuff going on, and then just Jaylen just kind of rises up and takes a shot. And not to say that Tatum doesn't too. Tatum falls into that. But you always say, like, those aren't the habits you want to see them fall into because it's all going better when they're doing it, the way that they were over the first 20 games or so of the season. But Brown, probably more so than every other guy there, is probably less likely to make that quick read or the right read to the right person and make that fast decision and move the ball. He's going to get it and he's going to go. So it does kind of run counter to what Joe was trying to do with this offense in the early going. I don't think they want to be that team that it's like, well, if Tatum's not going to get it, then Jaylen will. I don't think that's what they want to be. So that's why
I asked that question, because on nights like this against New Orleans without Zion and Ingram, it works. When you're deep in the playoffs, and this is what we keep talking about,
it does.
The bar with this group, you're not going to be able to attack head on. We've seen the teams that beat them stack the box, take away the rim,
and they're waiting
force
for
them in the
right.
jump shots, force them in the passes. And so that's where you got to be able to set up guys in a rhythm. I like the Chicago game much more than this one, even though, again, I have no complaints about tonight. Take care of business, do it any way you need to. But the Chicago game where you're running all that Spain action with Horford and Rob, and you're spreading the ball out to guys. And, you saw that to some degree in this one too, but you get Grant involved for 20 points, and Rob has an awesome first quarter, and Horford, who's pretty good in this one too, is super involved. White, all these different guys up and down the line. That's what you want to see. And that's what everybody chips into to some degree because they don't have that big high-volume facilitator. You got a bunch of different guys pitching in the passing game, somewhat inconsistently, especially lately. And again, let's make no mistake, this offense was phenomenal tonight, but over the last month or two, what is it? Bottom half of the league?
I mean, they went to stretch, Bobby, where they were like bottom 5
27th.
in the league. Yes. Yeah. So really bad. Bang, super chat. Want to thank you there. Bang. That's a big one. We really do appreciate it. Thank you, Colin.
I'm eating this week. I'm eating.
Yes, Colin.
Thank you for your support.
No super chat.
Yeah. No, thank you for that. But yeah, so that's what happens sometimes is kind of like that back and forth, my ball, your ball.
And let's make no mistake, Smart being out hurts. He's the guy you look to for that.
It does. Yeah. It does. So that's that. But that's it. That's kind of the Jaylen story in a nutshell. Why does Jaylen sometimes get, less love? I think that's it. I don't know. But
well, let's be clear. You talked about this in the chat, John. You said, has he gotten better over the last couple of years?
He's gotten better.
This is crazy what he's doing. Scoring.
He's gotten better at the stuff he's good at already. So that's the thing is he was a scorer who's gotten even better. He's
when we're talking about scores.
I'm saying the argument is I'm saying his last 3 versus his first couple, right? Like he's a scorer. He's a guy who's for the last 3 years. He's a guy who hits. I mean, 3 years ago there was a big feature article and maybe the Ringer or something with Jaylen Brown is really good at the worst shot in basketball. This is what he does. He absolutely excels at an insane level at the contested mid-range, which is the one shot everybody's screaming at you not to take. So he's a freak in that nature.
That's a big shot for the playoffs.
It's a big shot because the defense is clamped down, and you need somebody like that who can do that. That's when these guys earn their money. When it's really friggin' hard to get a bucket, who can get him, and Jaylen can get him. So that's just what he does. And now he's going to the basket and finishing at a ridiculously high rate. But I mean, that's in terms of almost everything else. All of his other numbers are dead flat. Assist to turnover ratio, potential assists, whatever you want to call it. He's pretty flat across the board, but his scoring has just been outstanding. So he keeps ticking up in his ability to get buckets, which is the thing he's already best at. I think that's all we're saying.
Yeah, and you know what?
But
if you're going to be good at one thing, I'm glad that it's that.
That's the thing.
Yeah. That's
it. People get really mad when you say that Jaylen Brown is elite at the most difficult, most important skill in basketball.
Yeah, we talk in circles when it comes to what he's great at and what he's not as great at.
He's literally great at the most important thing in the sport.
The problem is there's no problem. The flip side to the conversation is, does this whole dynamic lead to a championship? That's all that matters this year. Not all NBA, although that does matter for keeping them in town. All stars, scoring position, stats, great. As Joe pointed out, they're way up there in all these categories, and we acknowledge that. They've done a brilliant job this year. They're the best team in the league, and everyone around the league, as that survey showed, over 50% of beat writers think they're going to win the championship. So they got to be able to do it. And we're just pointing out things that might prevent them from doing that.
That's the best point, I think, also. And anytime anybody kind of comes down hard on anything, this ridiculous defensive, they got a W. That doesn't matter. If they do things that are going to cost them a championship, that's all that matters. The W's right now are nice and they're fine. And it's nice to be able to win games when you don't play your best. And it's nice to be able to put down teams that are hurting and to take care of business or to win big games on the road. But it doesn't matter if you're not doing the right things or showing improvement or showing that you're ready for a run to the finals, because anything short of winning the finals is a disappointment. Anything short of making the finals is a failure. So that's the standard for this team right now. Injuries aside, they don't make the finals. The season's a failure. And so they're being judged on a much, much higher standard than they ever have before. So more's expected of them. That's it. It's not that complicated.
And they've passed so far. They have.
Clearly, they're the best team in basketball.
They're done exactly what you're supposed to do. When you have the kind of pressure, you have the kind of spotlight, the attention on you that they have, you either rise to the occasion or you get run over. And yeah, they had a couple of bumps along the road, but at the end of the day, where are they? Top of the mountaintop. They're the team everyone is gunning for, and so that's again, they've handled their business. You got to give them props for handling their business. But to John's point, as much as we want to talk about wins and losses, building habits now is far more important.
Yes.
Building the kind of habits that are going to sustain you when you get into that game 3, game 4 playoff that could easily swing the momentum of the series. And it becomes about, how do you defend? How do you rebound? Do you do the little things like diving for loose balls? Do you close out as well as you're supposed to? Are you rebounding those loose balls when it's either man's rebound to be had? Are you doing the little things? And those are the kind of – and we can talk about whether it happens or not happen in May and June, but the habits that get you there are built now, are built in these weeks leading up to that.
Right. And a lot of this is instincts too. I think that's what really shocked people when we watched the NBA Finals. Maybe people weren't shocked, but the way the Golden State Warriors were able to just beat them in the head game in terms of just being the team that's making the smarter plays, making the adjustments night after night. And when they stole one, game 4, it seemed like that was sort of the turning point. But look, the Celtics right now, I feel like have to, because of what happened, they're taking every bump in the road as, okay, we got to fix that. We got to make sure that we put that in the past and we carry over what's got us the wins in terms of setting guys up and as a collective unit playing at a certain level where it doesn't matter whether it's the Pelicans or whether it's the one of the top-notch teams in the Milwaukee Bucks. You're seeing that same sort of formula. But look, I'm with you, John. I think sometimes Jaylen, when it comes to that, the decision making and playing that type of offense where it's free flowing and there isn't necessarily a play all the time, he's got to rely on his instincts. And sometimes whether it was the turnovers or whether he was making the wrong pass. That's what drives John crazy, and that's why you wonder where his head is at sometimes. But this is a step in the right direction.
It's more the defense, honestly, for him. Like I said, I've always thought. What I'm saying is, I've always thought
compared to last year, but that was a big
I think a guy like Jaylen that plays as fast as he does and relies on speed and athleticism to get where he wants to go. When you're going that fast, things are gonna happen. You're gonna turn the ball over sometimes. Those aggressive turnovers don't bother me nearly as much. Boneheaded is boneheaded. Bad passes are bad passes. Jumping and not knowing where you are. But he's got to play fast, or else he's not going to be able to do it. That stuff is fine. You can usually tell with him when he's engaged defensively or not, when it's kind of on and off. But I get his frustration too. You're always looking at Tatum and like thinking like, I don't want to say his name, but like this friggin' guy went 5 for 18 the other night with 4 turnovers. And like, why are you guys always coming down on me? I totally get that. Like Tatum has as many of these like no-show nights. And then even tonight, there's 3 times I counted, he got in too deep or missed a shot or didn't get a call and just never got back on defense. And he still does that. And like people aren't all over him and questioning him, as much as
They didn't play great defense tonight. No,
they didn't. So I get that a lot where Brown would be like, I mean, call it both ways. Like, can you call out this dude when he's having a tough game too and not just call me out? It makes sense.
Yeah, and tonight's the night to do that. Tatum wasn't at his best. Brown was. Tatum picked it up late and followed Brown's lead. But, 7 for 17 start from Tatum. The frustration on that call turning into a layup the other way.
He was 5 for 15, and he finished 5 for 7, actually, Tatum. So he started really friggin' cold and then had a couple of those ones where he just didn't come back on defense and stuff. So he was off most of the game. He was off for 3 quarters before he pulled it together. Yeah. But he'll get a pass. He'll get a pass a little bit. Anyway, what do you guys have anything to close? I think we got another one tomorrow, so we can wrap it up. Sherrod, you going to Brooklyn too?
Yeah, I'll be in Brooklyn.
Wow.
Jimmy and I will hold it down, I guess.
Yeah, I guess so. Hey,
Nick's on a cruise.
Some traveling men in this show.
He's on a cruise.
What are you guys expecting tomorrow? No KD.
No KD.
Close game.
No Horford. Probably.
Game. Yeah, it's not going to be
Claxton Rob show.
That's
Rob. I think
I'm looking for it. I'm looking forward to that, actually.
I am too.
I think the Celtics take it to them a little bit. We'll see how the minutes tonight impact them, though. And, of course, Brooklyn's been offered 2 days, got to practice in today. So they have the advantage in terms of rest. But it's also game 1 without KD. They have to change everything they're doing. And look at that. Another big super chat.
What?
Great day.
Oh, get out of here.
Wow.
What?
Wow, shots fired.
You're about to get a guest spot for Colin.
Oh, damn. I'm getting guitar strings. You know what?
Damn.
I think we should just give it all Josue for that new Wi-Fi.
That's what we need to do.
Wow, thank you. Yo, is this like Mr.
Far
Nordstrom?
from Wi-Fi.
Is this Mr. Nordstrom, like the guy that like owns Nordstrom's? It's the only thing I can think of.
I would like to speak to Ronald
I thought they
McDonald.
were in trouble. I thought they were in trouble.
Is Mr. Nordstrom there?
All right, I'm going to say it just because the chat's
Thank you,
been begging
Colin.
me to.
Damn.
No, Bobby, no. Bobby,
no.
no.
Don't, Bobby. Don't
It's
do
like-
it. Don't do
talk
it, Bobby.
about Luke.
Bobby's
Don't
like
do
that.
it.
Bobby's like that Midwestern town with the blank days without a tornado. Like, can he go one day without a Luke
days
tornado?
deserves it.
Don't
He
do it,
deserves
Bobby.
it
Don't
on
do
a
it.
night off. On a night off for Robert Williams, a phenomenal performance off the bench for Luke Cornett, blocking
Phenomenal.
shots,
Oh, I guess
behind the back pass to
See what
Tatum.
you're doing now? See, now
On
you're
the
making a mockery
boards.
out of phenomenal.
Bobby, he missed like 3 layups with no
was
one
late.
around.
Garbage
That was
time.
late.
That layups too.
Garbage time.
Garbage time.
He got taunted by
I
Alvarado.
missed-
call it
3
garbage time for a
layups.
reason. It's never been about the
There was-
stats.
There was a
He's
reason
getting a lot of
why
crap
in the
on the
first
comments.
86
Luke
minutes we
Cornett-
did not mention Luke Cornett at all, Bobby. There's a reason
Can
why.
I tell you that I
There's a
actually
reason
did?
why.
I did it. I did it already.
Not about the Luke's not about the stats, but he's about the flex, I guess. Right. Flex
no.
Did you
Let
like
him-
his game, John?
Luke had a nice block.
I'm going to defend Bobby here, and I'm going to say that he had 2 great blocks. And
That block was good.
this game is what you want for Luke when you're down a big, or to not have to play your bigs 30-plus minutes a night, because I don't think either one of them can sustain it. So I actually do think Luke, 8 to 10-minute range
He also
is
hit
vital.
a 3 and out of bounds.
I mean, he did.
He's giving. Come on, John is.
That's like
giving
making
something.
shots in practice, Bobby. It don't count. It's like making shots in practice.
I gave Luke his flowers,
you,
as
John.
Josue likes
Thank
to say it. Yes.
Yeah.
I'll give him a daffodil. How's that, Bobby? I'll give him
Yeah.
a daffodil. All right.
Thank
I'm not
you.
giving him flowers.
Bobby's like roses only. Come on,
Damn,
guys.
8 minutes. I'm giving him flowers for damn 8 minutes. Third
We almost
string.
all right. Reset
John
the
gave-
counter on Bobby.
John gave Luke
Let's
his
go.
kale.
Give him his kale. Guys, Google the kale conspiracy for those of you out there brainlessly just
Oh, we can
shoveling
just tell
friggin'
him. We'll just tell him.
shoveling tree bark into your mouth because somebody told you it was healthy.
Hey,
So that's pretty much it.
I had
So
a good
big
salad
kale.
on HelloFresh.
Big kale got everybody into kale.
The
That was just
big
literally
kale,
big kale.
legit, hired a PR firm and got you idiots to eat it.
Yeah,
There's
the last
nothing more
time I saw kale was in a very gentrified Brooklyn, and it's just growing on the sidewalks over there. I'm just
Yeah.
like,
This is the next segment on the Jimmy John podcast. They're gonna
No,
go
it's the
deep
next
on
segment
this.
on the Garden Report because the thing is, big kale, and this goes for anything. They'll get you. All of a sudden, you start thinking that you need kale into your diet because you just heard it from somebody.
You friggin' idiots are drinking it.
You trace it back to this one woman who just worked. She just
It's
happened
fruit.
to
Can't
like
even taste
kale. And she just lined up a whole PR stunt and got kale like trending. And then all of a sudden you've got all these people drinking kale and kale's in the supermarkets now. Kale stinks. It tastes horrible. It's no more nutritious for you than any other green that
Than
you
like
could eat.
a bunch of other greens.
That tastes
but-
better.
We again, for
So
those of us
enough
who
with
worked
the
in the
kale.
restaurant business for years, we used that shit as a garnish for a reason because it tasted
You
awful.
don't eat it.
We literally we took
that's so true. It was only a garnish.
we put our food on it. We did not expect you to eat it.
Big
Morons.
kale, man. There's a kale farmer that's just like
It's so true.
jumping into
Before
his
kale
like-
was like
like
trending. Yeah, it
jumping
was a
into his
garnish.
bank vault right now of just money because he got all these idiots to eat kale.
Kale and jelly.
Nothing will beat Jaylen Brown. That was a big one.
Someone said that.
Someone said Jaylen Brown.
This kale whistleblowers. Killing Brown is a great one.
It's true though, and you know, like
Tell your friends.
we can say it because like there's no kale company that we're like targeting. It's just big kale, like it's kale farmers, I guess.
It's like the Kale Association of AKA American Kale Association
Yeah.
or something.
Like when you see like a commercial for like chocolate milk, but there's like no brand. It's just like
This is
chocolate
exactly it, Mr. Jones. Eat spinach instead. We were eating spinach already. It's
Right.
just as nutritious. What are you
Right.
doing?
Right.
milk. And
Anyway.
spinach tastes better.
Spinach tastes better. Though Jimmy has never had spinach pie, and that's what launched this whole conversation. Speaking of pie,
That's what
up.
started the whole
my
conversation.
Hand
last pie was a savory pie. It was a spanakopita. It was a spinach pie.
Mm.
And Jimmy's never had
I
it,
love
which I
those.
was surprised by.
I
yeah.
never had spinach pie because, as I
Never
said,
had. Oh,
I wasn't the guy that was eating all my vegetables. Hand up, shocker, I know. When I was a kid, I didn't like. And I wasn't
Jimmy
sure
was
as
throwing
hell
pepper
wasn't gonna
tantrums
eat.
at the dinner
I sure
table.
as hell wasn't gonna
That
eat
kid.
spinach pie. And since then, what I said was I'm just not around spinach pie. Like, would I give it a try? Sure, but like, how many times in my day to day am I like in an area where spinach pie is flowing? It's just not, and I'm not gonna like buy it. So it just hasn't happened. But next time it does, I'll make sure to report back on the spinach
You ever
pie
had Greek
situation.
food? You ever had Greek food? That's a big, well, not a big part of it, but it's in
Yeah,
there. It's
again,
a
like
popular.
I mean, when John someday invites us over for dinner, maybe we'll have some Greek food and some spinach.
Fine,
one
we'll
day.
have a Garden Report Greek outing. How about that?
Let's do it.
This guy just loves pie. It doesn't matter what's in it. This guy will eat
Doesn't
it.
matter. Yeah, I eat all my food nowadays in pie form.
And now I get my greens through AG1, so I don't need to worry about spinach pie. I'm getting it all in my AG1.
Yeah. All right, we're gonna wrap it. We're
That's
gonna
it.
wrap it.
We'll
You guys
we're
got
really
our
back
prime
here in
over
less
it.
than 24 hours.
We
Damn.
got our cornet and kale talk in just under the gun. So
I can't believe we
did
have
it.
another show in less than 24 hours.
that's all right. That's all right.
The grind.
Don't worry, Jimmy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey,
Anyway,
safe travels, fellas. Enjoy Brooklyn. What are
Safe
you getting
travels.
into, Josue? You got a plan?
No, man, just
I know you
gotta
got a
go to the
plan.
game. What do you mean? It's a back.
Go right to the game, Jimmy.
You guys have to get into.
They got
you
great
have-
food in Barclays, by the way.
in Barclays, Barbie. It's arena food. You can do better than
No,
that.
it's
You know where you
Oh,
should
he's-
go.
He's talking about.
You want good pizza? You got to go to Lucali in Brooklyn. That's the spot for pizza.
All right, maybe we'll check it out. I'm in the mood
Well,
for pizza.
you can't just check it out. You gotta pretty much know somebody to know somebody. But
I like
all right,
this
never
one.
mind.
if you get there right when it opens, you might be able to check it out.
Kevin
Tell him
McHale.
Jimmy Toscano sent you.
You'll be like, who?
Tell him.
All right, John, we're skipping
tell him Dan
pregame. We're gonna
Friedman
go to
sent you.
Jimmy's pizza spot.
Where?
Lucali.
If you're in, you can also. There's a Joe's.
Nope.
No.
Lucali or bust.
Jimmy's. That's not for Jimmy.
No. Be honest, Lucali is honestly so good. Every time there's like a star player or movie stars, whoever, they always seem to end up there. There's obviously pictures of them. So like I saw a picture of Durant there with Kyrie.
What are the odds Luke's there?
This year?
Slim.
Guys, good night.
You would know.
See you tomorrow.
Good night. Good night.
You would know.
Where are you guys staying? We'll work it out off stream. Good night, guys.